What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Skookum Report. I've been gone for a while, and I apologize for that. I've been in and out of the hospital with some health issues, and also moved, and also moved the studio, and there's just been a lot going on, and so I apologize for my absence. But we're gonna try to pick up right where we left off, and I should have 2 to 3 episodes out a week for you guys, and I hope you enjoy this one. This one comes from Bobbie Short's material again, and I always want to thank her friends and family for allowing me to share all her material. This comes from Johnson County, Arkansas, and happened in October of 2002, and the nearest town, it says, was south of Low Gap and northeast of Harmony, and the location was in the holler between Macwood Mountain and McConnell Ridge. And the nearest road, says, was between Apple Road and McConnell Road on an unmaintained national forest road that traverses part of the length of the holler. The general land use description, it was part of the Ozark National Forest. It was very mountainous. And the nearest lakes and streams was the Dry Spadra Creek, and it flows through the holler, and the sighting location is within about 100 yards of that creek. Now, this man lived in the area for many years and lived for a few years in a northeastern state where he hunted bear using a nuisance animal permit from the state. He's an avid hunter, and he's hunted bear, deer, wild hog, small animals, and predators in Arkansas. He's very familiar with all of the classified animals in the Ozarks and familiar with the odors and the sounds produced by those animals. The activities of this gentleman prior to the encounter and the incident, the witness had driven alone in a Nissan pickup truck about 3/4 of a mile into the holler, where he parked without turning the truck around. He was alone and did not lock the truck. He had borrowed an old Remington semi-automatic .22 caliber rifle, which was equipped with a 3x9 1-inch scope, with which he was going to use to hunt squirrels. He walked up the old road about 100 yards or so from the truck when he noticed a live cedar tree to the left of the road, which had been broken and twisted, and the top bent down to the center of the road and pointing to the northeast, towards Macwood Mountain and Apple Road. He saw that the break was about 8 feet off the ground, and the trunk was slightly larger than his upper arm at the point of the break. The witness had been in the area recently and had not seen the broken tree, and he knew there had been no winds in the area since that time, which he would have seen the broken tree, or which would have broken the tree. He studied the tree for a minute or two, and after he was unable to determine how it had been broken, he continued up the road. After walking about 25 yards, he saw there was another cedar tree on the right side of the road, which was also alive and about the same size and broken in the same fashion, with the top pointed in the same direction as the first. At that time, he became very interested in determining what had broken the trees and why. He stated that he could see the trees were not simply broken by the weight of a bear, as the tops were twisted after having been broken, so that they pointed in the same direction. He was baffled by the way the trees had been broken, and although he soon continued walking up the old road, he could not help but think about how odd the conditions appeared. At that time, the creek bottom was heavily timbered with large oak, hickory, and pine trees, and he soon became preoccupied with stalking and shooting a few fox squirrels. The National Forest Service sold the timber in the bottoms in about 2004-2005, and the area was clear-cut. About 30 minutes before dusk and before dark, he began to notice that the normal sounds of the birds, especially those of large woodpeckers that call that time of day around their nest trees, and insects were missing. Just about that time, he heard the loud sound of a hollow tree being struck 3 or 4 times by what sounded like a rock or a green stick. The sounds somewhat alarmed him because they were coming from behind him, and he placed the sounds not far from his truck. He immediately thought that someone was messing with his truck, and since it was left unlocked, he turned quickly and started back down the road. Now, some of the details of this encounter and incident say he was walking at a fast pace and was soon within about 150 yards of the truck. At that point, he heard a soft grunt from the woods to his left. He looked in the direction of the sound and noticed a movement in the woods at an angle of about 45 degrees. He froze immediately and saw a large figure in a squatting position behind a very thin veil of brush about 35 or 40 yards away. He immediately thought that he was seeing a cinnamon phase bear because of its color, but he quickly realized that what he was seeing was definitely not a bear. The creature was squatting on its haunches, with its knees spread slightly, and with its two long arms extended between its knees, with balled-up fists resting on the ground in front of its feet. The animal was staring directly at him and slowly rocking its body side to side and making short grunting and clicking and chirping sounds with its mouth. The witness stated he was frozen in shock for about 2 or 3 seconds, and suddenly he had an overpowering fear that the animal was going to charge him. He immediately assumed that the animal was poised to spring off the ground towards him. He said by reflex he raised the rifle in a split second and tried to shoot the animal just below its chin. He said the animal appeared to have no neck and it hit the spine to disable it. Or he was trying to hit the spine to disable it. The witness stated that he had done this one other time and killed a 375-pound black bear with one .22 caliber long rifle hollow point bullet at about the same range by hitting it in the center of the neck and spine. And when the bullet hit the animal, it stood upright with its arms hanging to its side. The animal turned with its whole body and began to run up the slope of the ridge. The witness stated that the animal had actually been squatting only a few yards from the base of the ridge at that point. As soon as the animal wheeled and turned and started crashing through the smaller timber on the slope of the ridge, the witness stated he emptied his rifle at the running animal's back. He stated he thought the rifle held 15 long rifle cartridges, and he was sure that at least 7 of those bullets struck the animal. And about the time the rifle clicked to indicate that it was empty, he heard the animal stop running, and he then realized the animal was at a point directly up the ridge from his truck, and that he was standing with an empty rifle. He then bolted to the truck as fast as he could. He threw the borrowed gun into the bed of the empty truck and jumped inside the cab, and just before he did so, he heard the animal crashing through the timber again. It sounded to him as if the animal was running towards the truck. Now, he started the truck and threw it in reverse to turn around. He backed the truck into a tree, quickly put the truck in forward gear, and tried to turn around in the very narrow road. And in his haste, he struck another tree with the front of the truck. And after banging the truck through the timber and over large rocks, he finally got it back on the road and drove at breakneck speed out of the holler. He never saw the animal during that process, and he has not hunted in that hollow ever again. Now, his description of what he saw, he said when first seen, the animal was facing him and squatted in the position of a man taking a dump in the woods. The man said the animal's legs were spread and its arms were between its knees with the hands made into fists resting on the ground. He stated the animal was covered in reddish to brown hair, and that in most places it appeared to be about 3 inches long on the animal, and it was he saw that the hair appeared to be shorter and not as thick as that on the rest of the body. He stated that the head possessed a conical shape, similar to that of a mature male gorilla. The animal had no visible neck or ears, and although he stared at the face, he was unable to discern any facial features because of the halo of hair around the face. After he fired the first shot and the animal leaped to an upright position, he noticed the hair on its head and shoulders was noticeably lighter in color than the hair anywhere elsewhere on his body. He also noticed the hair on its knees that was discolored, and he thought those areas were covered with a light coating of mud and water. He said when standing erect and later when running, the legs appeared to be thick and powerful, but slightly bowed. He particularly noted when it was standing upright, the animal's arms were large and long, and hung alongside the body like a human's, rather than protruding forward like the front legs of a bear standing erect on its back legs. He said the animal appeared to be about 7 feet tall with a muscular build. He said for its height, the upper body did not look disproportionately large. The witness said he could not see breasts or genitalia to determine the sex of the animal, although he was sure it had no pronounced breasts like those of a mature woman. He stated that he believed the animal would weigh somewhere around 400 pounds. When the animal ran away, its legs were noticeably bent and its long strides were fluid-like. While running, its arms were said to be swinging in what appeared to be an exaggerated but fluid motion. Now, the description of these related sounds, he says, while the animal was squatted, the witness said it would make a short, low-volume grunting and chirping, clicking sound with its mouth. He stated the sounds were somewhat similar to, but different than, those made by hogs and bears. He stated that when the first shot hit the animal, it made a loud, short grunt, but he did not believe it made vocalizations, it just ran off. The only sounds he remembered hearing during that time were the sounds of breaking limbs and brush, and thuds, loud thuds, made by the animal's feet as they struck the ground. As far as any sense goes, or odors, the witness stated that shortly before he saw the animal, he did smell a foul odor, which he described as being a mix of the smells of rotten meat and a sewer treatment plant. Other details of this was after the witness had his encounter, he told some of his co-workers about what had happened, and he got a lot of ribbing for it. And a lot of people were making fun of him and just laughing at him about what had happened to him. And after a while, he refused to talk to anybody about it. Nearly a year ago, the writer first heard about the incident from a friend of the witness, but until now, the witness refused to discuss the subject. He has recently decided that he doesn't care who knows about it because he knows what he saw. It is significant to note that the witness had, prior to his encounter, hunted this part of the Ozarks for many, many years, both day and night, and had never seen any evidence of these animals and never knew they existed in this part of the country. Many of the area residents who hunt in the hollers off of the southern front of the Ozark Mountains in Johnson and adjoining counties have for years reported encounters with large, hairy human-like creatures. Others have found collections of animal bones and skulls and large piles of feces in certain distinct areas in the upper and most inaccessible parts of the hollers. These areas are bounded by steep sandstone bluffs, some of which are undercut by erosion. The ledges below many of the larger overhangs contain abundant physical evidence and artifacts to show the locations have been used as shelters for both animals and Indians. Very few hunters ever enter the reaches of the hollows because of the ruggedness of the terrain. And this was reported on February 20th, 2007, by Tal H. Bronco. He gives his name. And, wow, I guess I wouldn't go hunting back there again neither. Man, it's good to be back, and I hope you all check this episode out. And I'm going to be back in a couple more days with another one. And I hope my absence didn't hurt anything as far as my viewers, and I hope you guys don't think that I just passed away and I'm never making another episode, because that's not the case at all. I'm back and I'll be here for you guys. If you or anyone you know has had a Bigfoot encounter or seen a Bigfoot and you'd like to have it on the show, just jot it down in an email and send it to me at skookumreport@gmail.com. That's skookumreport@gmail.com. And I'll be sure to get it up on the channel for you. It's not a problem at all. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. I enjoy talking to you guys. It's been pretty steady in the comments, even though I haven't been posting new material. And I think that's pretty cool. The whole point is to get people talking about this subject and not be afraid to talk about it if you've seen one, because the ridicule factor, and this is a safe place to come and talk about what you've seen, get it off your chest. So I'll talk to y'all soon, and y'all take care, and it's good to be back, and God bless y'all. See you soon. Bye.